Okay, I see how it is. Why is it always me? Okay, y'all always keep saying how I'm too loud and too obnoxious, and I probably shouldn't be poking at that. But then, when you need a funny intro just to tune us in, it's always, "Oh, Mr. Jasper, can you lead us into the episode?" Well, I'll tell you this: I am going to do that right at this very moment with my mouth, doing it right now, speaking into the microphone.
Jasper, we ask you to do that because you're funny.
I know, but it's funnier when I overly react to stuff because yelling is funny according to comedy legends.
How many?
I don't know.
How many
He's on third, and I don't care.
Jasper.
How many microphones do you go through a year, dude? Like 4?
Probably about as many as the Ricola pills he takes.
Yeah. Also, like, did you just go full Harley Quinn when you were doing that voice? Oh, Mr. Jasper, thank you, Mr. J.
Oh, Mr. J, you shouldn't have.
That was the polar opposite of what I was going for. I ain't no Harley Quinn. I don't look good in no
Jasper.
spandex.
Jasper.
What?
Jasper.
What?
I think she wants to begin.
I have this impression that Jasper would be the one to walk up and ask me, "Do you know how I got these scars?"
You want to know how I got these scars? Well, turns out I don't know how to sword solo.
Jasper.
What is it?
Nighty-night.
I hate you.
Hey, Golden's back. Now okay, who's not here?
I'm not here.
Court is adjourned.
Welcome to Reviewers Web, where apparently I have preemptively triggered Jasper. I am your host, Fiaura the Tank Girl, and this week we have with us Ari and Scorcher, who are our first ever guests on the show. Aeon of Dreams was going to get that honor, but got exceptionally busy. At least that's what I am informed. So, if you two, starting at the top, I assume. So, Ari, if you two want to introduce yourselves and talk about what you do, now is your absolute chance to explain to everyone what you guys do.
Hi, everybody. I'm Armaru, the Fiery Secretary. You guys can call me Ari. First off, I am sick, so if I sound a little different than normal, that's why. Second of all, I am sort of a voice actor for Fob Equestria and for just really anyone. I have my own fan fiction analysis channel, although it's just barely getting started, and I write a buttload of fan fiction. Oh, and I'm also Josh Scorcher's fiance. So that's the best part.
All right, Mr. Scorcher.
Josh, it's your turn.
Well, let's see where to even frickin' start. I am Josh Scorcher, the Fiery Joker, also called Commander Firebrand. I am a YouTuber. I make gaming countdowns. I also stream. I dungeon master about 4 different D&D games. I am the commander of Fob Equestria, where I am constantly trying to figure out why the guards don't work, and Ari is the one who helps me not go insane, and I'm also her fiance.
Aww.
You stuck with me.
You guys are supposed to do a collective aw. We'll do it again. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Aww.
Randy.
Hey, stuck implies I don't want to be with you.
Well, I mean, it's like the Huey Lewis song. 'Cause I'm happy to be stuck with you.
Anyway, now that our guests have graciously introduced themselves and agreed to attend tonight, I would like to start by introducing what we did from the top down last week. So this week we do it from the bottom up. Brody Critic, you're up.
Hello, everybody. I am the Brony Critic. I promote the fandom by doing fandom reviews and reviewing fan content and fan creators. I also do a little bit of writing on the side, not as much as I would like, but here's the hope. And I also visit from conventions and do analysis of the show.
Is that my
Shoujo.
cue?
Yep, Shoujo.
Hold on. Okay, there we go. Hey there, everybody. Shoujo here, and welcome back to the Reviewers Web. And I gotta say, this was a very interesting episode to pick out, Josh and Ari. I kind of liked it. And
No. Shoujo. Introduce yourself. No, talk about the episode yet.
Okay, my bad. I'm sorry. Okay. I do the reviews of the MLPs on the side. I game, I stream, sometimes more frequently than others, more frequently in some certain departments. And I guess I just try to have fun with what I do. I just try to have fun. That's code up to you.
There we go. Hello, everyone. This is your super awesome ace analyst, Master Code, the one YouTuber reviews everything with ponies, from the comics to the show to everything in between. That's right. Now on to Mr. Jasper.
Hello! This is the Pizza Pone Jasper Pie. I do comics, writing, audio editing, and occasionally yell at the top of my lungs. Snipey Wipey over here tries to tranquilize me, but it don't work, do it! Ah! It ain't gonna work! You ain't gonna get me! You're never gonna get me! You know how I know you're never gonna get me? Because if you could get me, you wouldn't need me here, would ya?
Night.
Flop you! Blip.
And I am Insane Spyro, the greatest dragon in all of gaming, let's player, streamer, and the artist of this fine rabble. And by the way, Fiaura, that intro is cursed because it wouldn't render for you, and when I tried to get it onto Google Drive, it crashed File Explorer twice. That intro is cursed.
Well, it wouldn't render for me because something I have to ready for tomorrow has been rendering for 7 hours, and it just finished just as we finished the episode tonight. In the meantime, Golden Fox.
What's up, everybody? I review episodes of MLP, movie reviews, and once a week or so, I stream Let's Plays on Twitch.
And I am Fiaura the Tank Girl, also referred to as the Princess of Explosions. I have, I'm probably going to get hit for that one by somebody or nuked, I don't know which one. But I have a Fallout Equestria book, oddly enough, being licensed to be published, and it will be out in 2 weeks. In addition to this, I also have stories on fanfiction, and I do Fallout Equestria tabletop gaming once a week, in addition to scientific analysis of fandoms such as Anime 40K, and of course, bright, cute, colorful little ponies.
Also, your lightning blare.
I'm lightning blare.
Lightning blah!
Now, in the meantime, we have Brony Critic, who I'm now going to change the background for because I've been sitting here doing all the management to get us started. Brony Critic, what is your opinion of this episode? Positives, negatives, and how you would fix the negatives? Oh, hold on. We are discussing to change a changeling at our guest's request.
And in case anyone gets confused, it's the one with pharynx.
I thought maybe when aren't Ari and Josh going to go first, give their opinion first since they're the guests, or no? Just
I made a mistake. I'm so used to.
All right.
No.
All right. So should ladies first, or
you go ahead, because I know your throat is already irritated with you, and we need to give you as much time as possible. So you start us.
Okay, so to change a changeling, I really like this episode because it shows something that I feel doesn't get shown in MLP a lot, which is sort of the downside of friendship, which is sort of cliques and ostracizing other people who don't see the things the way that you do. There's also been the comparison between like a war-torn veteran returning home and struggling with like PTSD and readjusting to civilian life, and I really like that analysis, but I think I'll leave that one to Josh. For me, this episode shows how bullying and ostracizing people has a negative effects on all involved. It hurts the victim. It also hurts the bullies because they ostracize someone who could do something beneficial for the group. And it hurts people on the sidelines because they don't know what to do. They don't know who to help. They don't know how to help. I really like it because also, well, I mean, Pharynx is freaking funny. He just is. Oh, so you guys are both losers. Stay away from me. He just has a different outlook on things that we don't see very often in MLP, and I quite enjoy it. Josh, you speak.
All right. Well, I think the main reason that I wanted to do this episode and the main reason that I like it the most is that it feels the most real to me in the sense that Pharynx, he reminds me a lot of military folk who come back from a deployment and they try to reintegrate into normal society. Like, the world they know is a lot of combat, it's a lot of conflict, and and things that are normal for them are scary and weird for normal civilians. It's like normal civilians have not had to deal with a lot of the crap that a military person has had to deal with. And it can be easy to write a person like this off, like especially a person with PTSD, as someone who is either angry, damaged, evil, cruel, when that's not true. And I see Pharynx, and I see that sort of person, a war veteran who's having trouble reintegrating into a peaceful lifestyle that doesn't really need him anymore. And they eventually find a way to need him. But yeah, for a while, his role was useless. And for a lot of these war veterans, but being a soldier is all I know. Being a fighter is all I know. What am I to do now? I can't gel with these peaceful times. And that's why this episode really hit. That's why this episode really hit home to me. Also, I do. I don't know why I love seeing Starlight screw things up. I love seeing Starlight just come up with these outlandish solutions that get worse before they get better. It's like she comes up with a plan. Plan fails, but it always works out in the end, and I just find that hilarious. And yeah, I think those are my general thoughts about what I liked most about this.
Well, I mean, her redemption did kind of mess up the canon, so what?
Yeah.
So I think Fee said we were going from the bottom up, right?
100% correct. So, Brony Critic, let's hear your weight.
So I never actually considered that that reading of the story. And it kind of makes a little sense. I don't have that kind of background to kind of make a lot of those connections, but I can definitely see where that's coming from. And I really like that reading a lot of this particular episode. I enjoyed it just because it had really strong character moments. It was immensely funny. If I would have changed anything, I think I would have had there be more changelings who didn't want to transform other than Pharynx. If there was like a little faction of people who kind of thought like he did. Because I do feel like there's this element of this episode where Thorax is kind of operating on his way or the highway, and I would have liked to seen a much more we do have to take a look at where this faction is coming from, and it would have made it seem less like Pharynx was just kind of out there wild and crazy if he had people who kind of agreed with him, and they still had the interests of the hive at heart, but they wanted to but they had different interests than maybe the rest, and have it be like this little vocal minority. It could have been an interesting exploration, especially because one of the biggest problems that a lot of fantasy stories have is the planet of hats. All Klingons are honorable warriors. All Vulcans are logical to a fault. All Dothraki are great warriors and horsemen. But the really interesting part is where you can have those little bits of minutia, little tiny factions within a culture that make it a lot more fleshed out, a lot more interesting. And we don't see a whole lot of that in My Little Pony, which is why when we saw the changelings reform, that was kind of cool. We saw the capacity for changelings to be good. But now in this one, I would love to have seen them kind of give, maybe not everyone just automatically bought friendship automatically, just because Sunset gave one speech, at the end of the last season. I think that might have been a little stronger of an episode and made Pharynx a little bit more identifiable. I do think that the reading that Josh gives does still make him identifiable, but I think that might have helped overall.
You just think that the message could have been stronger.
Exactly.
It was good, but you thought it could have been stronger.
Exactly. I think
I concur with that, and it also kind of goes with the bullying and ostracizing thing, because it is rarely just one person who is bullied and ostracized. It's usually a small group that thinks similarly. For example, when you're in high school, the nerds might get pushed out, or the goths, or the kids who just don't quite see the way the other people who the more general population do. So when it comes to the bullying and the ostracizing and even stuff like that, a smaller group probably would have made more sense and made it more identifiable.
Oh
but
my
at the
gosh!
same time, when you have a small group, it might make it a little hard to identify singular characters and what makes them unique.
I do agree with that, and I think it also kind of plays into the fact that Pharynx used to be at the top of the food chain. When his ideas were the majority, he was at the top of the pack. He had power and influence, and now he's in the minority and he has nothing. I think that would have been a really interesting perspective to kind of see, because we have those kinds of transitions between, for lack of a better term, political ideologies happen all the time in reality. So it would have been interesting to maybe not put the focus of the episode on it, but kind of put that little subtext in there as well.
Right now, I'm just imagining it's like you guys keep saying there's a group, and when Ari was talking about the bullying, I'm like, oh my gosh, what if the group that Pharynx had was like a little Bulk skull?
Oh my god.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Pharynx and larynx.
Pharynx and I'm going to push it over to Shoujo, though, before we get too off topic.
Okay, I think it's a little ironic that we watched an episode with Pharynx, and what I'm sick with is acute pharyngitis. As in,
crash.
my pharynx is what's infected. I'm just saying.
You just sat on a whoopee cushion.
Okay, though, but going off of what Brony Critic and you were saying, Ari, I would have thought it would have been a bit more interesting if we seen a group of changelings being ostracized for being different from the current norm, because like some of us were saying while we were watching the episode, it only turned out that they're around, let's say 50 to maybe greater than 50 amount of reformed changelings. So, and during the second season, I believe that was when the invasion happened, we seen hundreds of them. So why not just give an explanation as to why there's so few of them there. That there are other changelings that have not decided to reform, or they like the ways that it wasn't before they changed. I really like this episode. I think maybe why is because of Pharynx and how different he is to the regular norm of the changelings is now. I think it could also be the same way with Maud, why everyone loves Maud, is because she's so different compared to everyone else. And it just offers that difference in viewpoint that other people have that make being us so diverse and so interesting of a time to be alive. And even though I did say I like this episode, I had some small nitpicks with it. One of them being, why haven't we seen that creature that Pharynx turned into when he was a little changeling and a bigger changeling now, up until now? Why haven't we seen that thing? That looks awesome.
To be fair, there are a lot of creatures we haven't seen until their actual debut.
Yeah. Master Code, I pass it off to you.
I'm just gonna go real quick off what you said. It's like that is kind of a good point. It's like, why doesn't he just? What is the full extent of a changeling's shape shifting ability? I mean, why don't they just turn to like Godzilla or something, or a big old giant dragon, and just be like, oh no, the Mulward is here. Oh, now I'm a giant dragon. Stomp. But overall, my opinion on this episode, I really did like the episode. Josh and Ari, and you guys pretty much took the majority of my points, but I will kind of expand on them. But how it's true, it is kind of like a soldier who's returning from war, and all they've been bred to do for the most part is fight and kill. That's it. With the changelings, it's we infiltrate, steal, love. That's all they've been trained to do. That's all Pharynx knows. And so now he's stuck in this quandary of a hive where everything's all topsy turvy. It's like, oh no, it's all nice and cute, and I that was a very very realistic portrayal of a soldier just coming back, or anyone who is in some new society who hasn't been just getting into a new society that they're unfamiliar with, a culture shock. And also one last thing, also back with the ending where kind of like I said earlier about, it's like, why don't they just change it to just turn into a giant dragon or something? I think it was, I can't remember who it was. I think it was Stojo or Brony Critic. You said something in one of the text comments. It's like, why don't you just turn into a Mulwurf yourself? And yeah, that you really can't hide that fact. But I'm kind of reminded of the moment where the solution was for the enemy to hit itself. It kind of reminds me of the moment from The Incredibles where the robot, stabs itself. I think the reason it works in The Incredibles better is because in that movie, you saw the robot actually stab itself early on in like the second act. And then in the final act, you see it stab itself again. Oh, spoilers. And then here it's just Pharynx hitting his brother. And then it's like, oh, I'll just use this vague technique I used very long ago when I was a kid, and I'll just use that. It was a stretch, but what can you do? I thought the humor was very good in this episode. Pharynx is hilarious. I love his bluntness. I put you in a bag. It was really funny. He's just so much fun. He's such a fun character, just going around and attacking random things, going around attacking vines. That's just so much fun. And this is because timeline wise, I think this is the first episode after the changeling got converted and stuff. I am also with you guys on if there are more old changelings in there, where you could have this interesting dichotomy where there's kind of like a segregation. You could have like a somewhat segregation kind of plot, family friendly, of course, where maybe you have like the new changelings living on top, where it's all nice and pretty, and then the old changelings living down the bottom, and they're not warring with each other, but they're kind of like, hey, we're both changelings, but hey, you stay to your side, we'll stay to our side. They kind of have like this friendly agreement. Like that would have been interesting to play with, but other than that, for the most part, I think this was a pretty good episode. On to you, Jasper.
I'll be honest, this episode wasn't one of my personal favorites, but I still thought it was really well done. Got to see like we got to see like the hive in full bloom. We got to see and we had like a really interesting story about what happens when when a hive converts, and there's that there's that one little cog that just doesn't want to fit into the mechanism. I think what could have meant I think there were just things I would have liked to see better. One can't be fixed, but this one can. What if over time some of the peaceful changelings actually started to agree with Pharynx and just kind of went back to him, like kind of like what they said earlier about the whole ostracizing thing, and other changelings kind of not going with the whole peaceful tide and such. And the one thing I didn't like, but I don't know how to fix. Look, I am slowly getting used to Trixie. It's just that sometimes I really, really wish she could just sew her mouth shut. Just for 5 minutes! Just 5 minutes of her not speaking is like a blessing. It's like a blessing in disguise. Proceed!
Okay. To ask Jasper, if Trixie was going to be the one to shut her mouth, what would you put in place of her dialogue at certain points?
Well, if maybe not her, maybe a different character. Maybe one a little less useless.
I get this impression you really hate Trixie.
Are you surprised?
No, not in the slightest.
I didn't say I didn't know how to fix this one. This was just a nitpick.
See, for me, like, I think that I would honestly have loved to have seen, like, I don't know, Mod join along on this one. Or Discord. Discord would have been hilarious at the Changeling Hive.
Or actually, another choice. What about Spike, since he was the one who first inspired Thorax to do the good?
Exactly! Spike's his buddy! That would be good.
In that case, yeah! Replace Trixie with someone more pleasant. Or maybe not pleasant, just actually productive. And I smell a Blissy Boo.
You would be correct.
Lightning Blare.
Blissy has joined us.
I was waiting for permission.
Blissy!
Well, before we let Insane go, we'll go back and do Blissy since we're going top to bottom tonight. So, hi, Lightning Bliss. We're doing To Change a Changeling. Yes, the episode where your heartthrob Bill Newton plays.
Yes, you're the one where you have your little plushie.
So, Lightning Bliss, I assume then you've seen the episode 100 times.
Several times, yes.
Okay. What is your opinions on it? What's the good, what's the bad, and how would you fix the bad?
The good, the bad, and the beautiful. Okay. Think about it.
Beautiful!
If she keeps squeeing like that, I'm gonna have to just figure out a way to get another picture of her and Flash Sentry shipped together drawn.
You know Silver Quill killed that off for a reason, right?
Oh,
Yes.
I can bring it back.
Yes. But see, I would do it with Lightning Blast.
No. Y'all don't understand. So I'll have to PM it to you guys. But no, please don't bring it up.
I apologize then. In the meantime,
No worries.
Go ahead, Bliss.
No worries. But anyway, yes, the good, the bad, and the beautiful. Okay, the good. I know the listener will be fuming when I say this, but I really like Starlight Glimmer in this episode. I thought she did a pretty swell job. But she also did a bad job, and here's why. And yes, I was hearing Joey reading in the background about Trixie. Yeah, Starlight, you should not have brought Trixie. I no longer like Trixie anymore either. They had something going with her for a while, and I wanted to like her. I really, really did. But it's like the writers have intentionally written her as a character you're supposed to dislike and become a plot device for making things harder for other characters when they don't really need to be. okay, if that's what they were going for, then good job, writers. You have successfully made me hate Trixie. Good job. But for the good and the beautiful, can I go on about Pharynx? Do I really need to? Can I go on about the voice actor instead? Because we all know that Pharynx is like best changeling.
Whatever you want to say.
Well, I'll talk about the voice actor then for a bit. Bill Newton. He's a good guy. He's a sweet guy. He is best boy. He'll go out of his way to be like, you know, not only sweet to the fans, but yeah, you know what? No, that's what I was going for. He just goes out of his way to be a swell, sweet guy to everybody he meets. He's very patient. He's very playful. He's very energetic for probably one of the most energetic BAs I've met in the Brony fandom. I admit he's given me a few tips about voice acting here and there, even though I'm not seeking a voice acting at this time. He told me his techniques about how he went from Bright Mac to Pharynx and how he gets into the mindset of the characters. And I thought that was all very interesting, and I could go on, but I don't want to take up the podcast. So, meep.
Here, that leaves it to Insane
Spyro.
Spyro.
Right, let me just get the black wool out, start making barring noises. You're all gonna hate me because I love Trixie in this episode. I really do.
Sorry.
We are all internally screaming.
Nonconformity! Hiss!
Right, but
Yeah, like the episode.
Everybody calm down. Let him speak first off, and you're gonna hate me more when it's my turn.
So here's the thing, right? I love the fact that they brung her along because her incompetency just like works, and all of her sarcastic, like, I am a narcissist, it fits her character, and this is what I wanted Discord to be. Like, when they reformed Discord, I wanted him to be like that, a sarcastic ass that isn't bad, but is in it for himself. He will manipulate either side to do whatever he wants because he's in it for himself. And obviously, most episodes with Discord, it's just like, well, I'm being a bit of an ass, and then someone's like, don't be an ass, and he's like, okay. Whereas Trixie, she's a narcissistic bad girl to the end, and it's like, you go, girl. But in terms of everything else, though, I like all the bits with Pharynx. I like when he goes full Volvic revive. Come on, Tyrannosaurus Alan, I'll have you ponies for breakfast! But the one thing, and it's the big thing, I don't like is the Skittle changelings mentality. Because the whole idea of the soldier returning home from war, it's a good angle. It's a great angle to look at it from. But he's not returning home from war. All of them, which, you know, they state several times, were Chrysalis's drones. They were all black at one point. So at one point, they were all just as bad as he is, and they should understand what he's going through. They shouldn't be segregating him, because it'd be like, oh yeah, remember when I was transforming? When I had to, like, give in to the love and become a Skittle? I know what you're going through, Pharynx, and I know what you're going through, and I know what it was like. They should be encouraging him to change, because they themselves were black. They were in the same position as him, so they should know exactly what he's going through.
Then we all know the real enemy of this episode. The safe space.
Hashtag kill the feelings for him.
On to Mr. Fox of the Golden Variety.
Yes, on to the goldenest of foxes that will one day commit the Midas touch.
Okay, so I am going to add on to what both Ari and Josh have said and expand on it by addressing the perspective of the general public. I found it to be an enjoyable episode as the visit to the Changeling Hive allows the audience to see the progress and development of their culture and see what flaws they encounter. This includes a challenge for them to accept having a balance between sustaining a good social standard and learning to take defensive actions for their home. I think that's a healthy lesson that even today we're still challenged with because we're very accustomed to being nice with each other. But aggression and violence is something that a lot of people are not comfortable with, but it's existing even for important reasons. Pharynx is a great example of that, as his actions connect the audience to a sense of discomfort with the changelings who take issue with him, but what the payoff is with his character. The only issue that I do have is pretty much what Jasper and the others have said, and that is Trixie. The great and powerful, shut up. I'm tired of her saying that. It's annoying. Her narcissism is too overplayed and has done nothing to the series except make my eyes roll. So, Sire Spyro, I have to disagree with you on that one. She doesn't ruin the episode, though. I still found it to be enjoyable. I'm going to end my part there.
Well, there goes our Equestria Daily feed.
Equestria Daily is too biased.
Oh, darn.
To be fair, Trixie doesn't ruin the episode for me either. I just don't particularly love her.
I'm just tired of her saying, the great and powerful Trixie, shut up! Nobody cares!
I completely understand, and I completely agree. Honestly, I really wish she picked a different catchphrase right now.
You know what actually could have been funny? What if, while she was saying that, right before she says her name, she just trips down the mountain?
Also, isn't the icon for Equestria Daily now Sinamula? From,
what? Where'd that come from?
The character from Daring Done?
Yeah, but why did you suddenly bring that up?
Yeah, well, because we were talking about Equestria Daily and Trixie. And
okay.
So the first thing I'm going to point out, Equestria Daily and I have a very, very good understanding to the point of which they put my R-rated Fallout Equestria Season 2 trailer on front page by itself.
Hooray! That's awesome.
So long as you guys keep the cursing to a minimum, we're good.
Goshy gosh, poopy face, fuzzy slipper!
She's a douche canoe!
It's the greatest website ever. It's the greatest website. You should totally visit it right now. I mean, after this.
Fire truck!
Second, I have to point out something at the very beginning of the episode that really just irks me horrifically. Starlight points out at the beginning of the episode that if they had teleported, they would have teleported to a cliff face behind them. However, the object that was enforcing that upon the Changeling Hive is broken. And they never show it has been fixed.
Thank you!
And I have to further point this out, that I did go, while you guys were talking, and mute it so I could make sure that they actually used magic after they chased Chrissy off. And Discord teleports around like it's nobody's business, and Rarity looks at herself in a mirror by holding it up with her magic. So that object is definitely broken.
Continuity go bye-bye, baby, once more!
See, I thought the reason for it was that because Starlight was never able to teleport there in the first place, she wasn't sure where she should aim.
Well, yeah, but then there's the whole every little thing she does that I did with Aeon, where we realized that they don't really need to see where they're going when they teleport.
I mean, Twilight teleports places by map.
True. So their teleportation is not very Nightcrawler. It's more just Deus Ex Machina. Got it.
It's not really apparating, like from Harry Potter.
The second thing that I picked up on that irked me with there's more than one continuity break in this episode. Get ready.
Oh dear God.
So remember how changelings are supposed to apparently feed and survive on eating the love of others, and then they created these Skittle versions that generate their own love by freely sharing it between each other?
Yes.
Why do they eat soup?
Because it tastes nice.
because they couldn't get clothes.
It's sort of like how Amethyst, like in Steven Universe, she doesn't need food, she just likes the taste.
Okay, I just figured I would clarify that.
Oh no, that is a great point, and it's hilarious.
I mean,
I was just trying to answer your question.
There's another possibility as well, that maybe the love doesn't actually feed them physically, but rather like their magic. They can't produce magic on their own, so they have to absorb it actively from the environment. But they still need like sustenance to maintain, the calories to burn for, general energy.
You go first, Fiaura.
And and I'll let you guys respond to all of these. The third thing I have to point out here, Pharynx hasn't converted to Skittle mode at the start of the episode. Does that just mean he's just been eating random travelers who've shown up to the Changeling Hive?
No, I think he just sucks the love out of the people who self-generate.
Yes, and we've seen how horrifically that destroys a pony. So, is there just like a pile of, bodies somewhere? Because he doesn't complain about being hungry like the old changelings did at any point. Is there just like a pile of chained up creatures for him to come suck the emotions out of?
We need to find Pharynx's skeleton.
Well, here's
we need
the
to
thing.
find the skeleton in the closet.
50 Shades of Skittle.
Well, here's the thing. I actually did write this down and I did notice that. I didn't note this. You guys probably heard me note this when I was saying when we were watching the episode. Towards the beginning, Starlight said, "And oh yeah, all the greenery is back because the changelings didn't suck the energy from the environment."
Oh.
Yes. However,
They could suck the magic out of all organisms.
If that were the case, shouldn't they still also be finding the place where Pharynx is regularly sucking the energy out of the environment? And apparently, sucking the energy out of the environment is not enough to sustain themselves because they still actively seek to suck the energy out of other sentient beings.
Well, I kind of see it as a Lion King situation. It's like, Scar, there is no more food. You're just not looking hard enough.
Yeah, I still imagine there's a couple of like pony merchants and probably some other random poor guy or
Oh, I don't doubt. I do not doubt that. That would be hilariously and interestingly dark if the show went there.
Yeah, I really think there's like 50 Shades of Changeling going on somewhere, and that might still be going on after the transformation, just because Pharynx seems like the kind of guy who's like, no, I still like doing that. I'm going to do it anyway.
Go, fanfiction writers, to your keyboard!
I just wanted to deliver the newspaper.
Or the postal guy who always gets shafted on in the episodes.
So why did he have a bag then?
Yeah,
Maybe
why does he just have like a bag? He was prepared.
Wait,
No.
You guys don't
He wasn't prepared. He wasn't prepared with the bag. He took it off of someone. That he fed off of.
He ransacked the sack.
So now I know what I'm writing this week after I finish the FOE chapter and after I finish edits for the book is oh god, you guys inspired me to write The Curse of Silence, and now I'm gonna write 50 Shades of Changeling, and I'm just gonna feel terrible.
I can make it even worse for you. Because
I'm so happy that I inspired her to write something. I'm so happy.
Gosh, I love this fan.
I can make it even worse for you because, like, what if it's, he's, when did we see Chrysalis suck shining? At nighttime. So when he's walking around doing all of his guard patrol, to everybody else he looks normal because Chrysalis was doing it at the nighttime. So what if he's just, like, sneaking into people's houses and just, like, giving a little bit of while they're asleep?
Who knows? By the way, I just had one question. And maybe it's just been a long time since I've seen the episode. Going back quickly to Candlelight Wedding, when they first talked about what a changeling was, did they ever establish? I know they said that changeling obviously they feed on love, but did they ever say that they can't eat food?
No, they didn't, but it's best not to think about that episode because the thing that beats the things that eat love is love. Technically, Cadence's love blast should have, turned Chrysalis Super Saiyan, but it ended up beating her.
Correction. She did that with Shining Armor, so it wasn't exactly potent, pure love. It was also courage and strength, I guess, mixed in as well. So, powerful punch.
The problem with season 2 is that they basically beat the bad guys with a chicken wing.
Hey, chicken wings are good.
These are beings that feed off of emotions, and they kind of imply that that's what it is. And they beat them with emotions. They beat the changelings with a turkey leg.
Right, but my question was, earlier someone was like, I think it was Yuffie or whoever it was. They were like, "Why are they eating soup?" And that's why I asked the question: Was there any time in the series at any point where they say changelings don't eat food or drink food or whatever? Was there any point I missed that or don't remember?
No, it was never mentioned as far as I remember.
Okay, there we go.
It was never mentioned, but up until this point, even Chrissy, she would eat food and then go spit it out. So, in the meantime, so those are my 3, the heck is going on there moments where I'm just sitting there as the scientist going, wait a minute. As far as the rest of the episode is concerned, Trixie's supposed to be some sort of illusionist. Can we please just see her commit to an actual full-blown phantasmal illusion in front of everybody that does something useful when a fight breaks out? Because the Malwart hitting itself, if you really wanted to make Trixie useful for this episode, have her make an illusion of another Malwart and have them fighting each other with the Malwart hitting itself towards the end, where the Malwart is literally just beating itself to death until Trixie stops the spell. I mean, I get that's
that
dark.
Would have been so freaking awesome.
Yeah, that would be awesome. But I really think that the problem with Trixie is that she's kind of no pun intended. She's a little bit of a one-trick pony. She only really has it's like her magical abilities in terms of power are pretty much she's pretty much only capable of close-up magic tricks.
Basic.
And see, to me, that means that Trixie is effectively the Little Pip of the canon universe, where Little Pip can only do telekinesis, Trixie can only do basically illusions, and that's it.
Birthday party magic.
Birthday party magic. There we go.
Parlor tricks.
She can turn things into teacups.
In the meantime, I thought that Pharynx was an interesting exploration of what happens when a whole society changes and there's that pushback to not change with the society, even though the society is clearly better for the change. I thought Thorax had the massive issue of he didn't learn enough from Triple Threat and should have changed more from that experience, and if he was, as claimed, having regular talks with Ember about this stuff, should have had a much larger amount of character evolution between episodes than this. And
wishful thinking.
I fully agree with random mud-covered changeling number 3. You're the ruler. Do something more than talk.
Okay, I'll talk to him.
I mean,
you're the queen.
Good job, muddy skittled corn thing.
Not only, I guarantee you that one has a name, and I just haven't gone to look it up, and I'm being lazy. I guarantee you, without a doubt, that Thorax should have more power than the rest of them because he's bigger than the rest of the changelings physically.
You're the king. King it up, bitch.
That's something that I've frequently complained about, most notably in my review of Celestial Advice with Anthony C. Is I don't like poorly developed leader characters, and especially with Thorax, it says I saw nothing leadership about him when and he's being given command of the Changelings. It's the same problem I had with the Power Rangers reboot. It's like, Jason is supposed to be like the leader. They really hammer this in that movie. They really hammer it in about how the Red Ranger is supposed to be the leader when Jason was a horrible leader. There was nothing that indicated that he was a leader. I would not follow that sort of person. And Bearings, I'm sorry, and Thorax, it's just, I don't trust that guy to lead. And we're not, and it takes them freaking forever to address his leadership and experience.
I have one thing to say on this, just one. And I mostly agree with you, but there is one quality he did have that all the Changelings did not, that made him stand out. Not saying it made him a great leader, but the one thing a great leader, or I should just throw great, the one thing a leader should have is to be their own person and basically assert their authority and know what they want. Thorax did that in one way. He didn't want to be part of the Hive because he didn't feel like he belonged. He wanted something better, and he went out to seek it out. That is one quality that a leader should have, in my opinion. So he had that going for him at least. But everything else,
And see, he also had the motivation to change. What most revolutions have in common is a leader who has that motivation to change society. Yes, he wanted something better. Blissey put it really great. But at the same time, he's also the only one, even if we saw anyone else, even if we saw any other changelings, like maybe, this isn't quite the life for me, none of them did anything. Thorax has been shown to have at least the drive in order to make things happen. And obviously he's at least done something. He may not be quite 100% prepared for the role of a political leader, but at the same time, he is still a benevolent leader in that a leader is someone who will lead by example. A boss is someone who will just delegate and tell you what to do. Thorax is leading by example. But then again, the only other leader he knows, aside from Ember, is the tyrant who has dominated over his whole life. Ember is helping, but at the same time, they are also very different people. He has to figure out how to lead in his own way. And I don't think he's quite there yet. I completely agree that he's not as developed as he should be. But at the same time, he does have more qualities of a leader than some others.
It would be great if he had an aha moment where he's like, I didn't like how things were going for me in the Hive, so I got out to find something better. I want the same thing from my subjects. I want them to feel like I feel and be their own changeling, or be their own being and be happy with where they are and who they are. If he could have an aha moment like that, that would get him on the right track of being a good leader. But I'm kind of getting really sick and tired of the, I'll talk to him, I guess. Yeah, I'll think about it. Please stop. Please grow some stronger antlers or something, Thorax.
Congratulations, Thorax. You're the new Fluttershy.
Okay, so
no, I think that's Ocellus.
The last thing I wanted to bring up, and then we'll go back into the passing the buck around between each other as we discuss various pieces of this episode before we get to question and answer, is the one thing I do like about this episode is Starlight has to admit that she's done terrible things in the past, and she's dealing with them. Also, Bill is currently watching, apparently, because he's talking in the chat. But I do like that these two characters, Trixie and Starlight, have to admit they've been terrible, awful ponies. And some of those awful traits still come up. And even to this day, and I'm sure all of us can testify, that we have worked incredibly hard to deal with the things that make us terrible people. but we all occasionally still backslide a little bit, or it still gets thrown up in our face, and we feel like, that's something I did, and if I don't own up to it and then prove that I'm better, then I'm no better. So I kind of agree that they do backslide a little bit, and it does, it bites them it bites them in the butt really hard.
I like it when they can admit that they really messed up. I like any joke that alludes to Starlight as a horrible communist dictator. The manifesto thing in Fame and Misfortune.
That is my favorite joke.
But yeah, it does. As I will put this in a different perspective, it basically means that Starlight and Trixie are the shipped former convicts from the prison.
Shut up, Ari! What? I'm just laughing. I love the way she put it.
It's true.
That's fair, Brony Critic. I'll stop saying no offense and just say what I feel and mean, and just be like, all right.
Are you guys making fun of Bliss?
In the meantime, so now we get to the next piece of how this particular podcast works. This is for our guests as well as the new people who are here tonight with us, because holy crap, we're over 30 people right now. I would like to say this: everyone, from here on out, if you want to speak, you simply queue up. What that means is you push your push to talk button, and I will try to memorize the order they've been pushed in order to get people in the correct order that they wanted to be recognized. Who wants to bring up a specific piece of conversation, just like we were just doing before I finished my thoughts, about this episode you want to talk about? All right, I see Brony Critic first, Insane Spyro second.
So, when I was looking at this episode, one of the things that I really kind of noticed, and it gave me the question of, how do transformations work? Because when Pharynx in the back, in like the flashback, Pharynx is this little tiny grub, but he turns into this thing that is easily 30 times his size. So my understanding of mass and volume being what it is, mass can neither be created nor destroyed. So, did he just turn into like a super, like, almost like non-dense organism? Or is he like literally converting the energy, like the magical energy, into mass for that object? Like, I have to wonder questions about that, because that bothered me when I was looking at it. It's like, they don't give any hard rules for how the changelings can transform. They can turn into any creature of any size, any shape. It's weird. It's really weird.
Well,
magic.
What I would have to say is it's energy conversion, because we see the massive amount of energy that gets expelled when the changelings get transformed, or when Shining Armor and Cadence make out at the massive mega spell level of murder how many changelings again, all at the same time. So to me, it's a simple math that energy is easier to store than mass, so they store everything as raw energy more so than mass, and convert it when they need it. It's the same way in which technically a 9-volt battery, if you rig it up properly with a superconductor and enough insulation, can hold the charge of an entire megawatt. It's not a good idea to plug that into anything once you do that, but you could do it. So again, energy is easier to contain than mass.
And this is why I'm an English major.
This is why I do all the science. Insane, you were next, and then... Oh, Jesper, do you have a comment?
I was just going to add to what Ari said. And this is why I prefer writing over mathematics and science.
Leave the math and science to Fee. It's really interesting to hear her explain it.
What she said.
I feel like I should cackle like Mandark now.
Do it.
Oh God, please no.
Ah! In the meantime,
Never do that again.
I love doing that laugh.
You win, Golden. I'll never do that again. In the meantime, Insane Spyro.
5. First of all, you're talking about this nonsense of science. Do we have to send you back to the loony bin again, like we did last?
I had fun there. I made friends. Now they're as crazy as I am.
That's good. I've been there myself. It's fun to make friends. You have learned the power of friendship. And I'm going to now backtrack to what everybody was saying about Thorax being a bit of a pussy. Because what could he do to Phalanx to make him stop? Because in a contest of raw power, no matter what he changes into, it's been shown that Phalanx is the dominant one when it comes to raw physical power. And I think the problem comes from the fact that they lost their ability to cast magic. Like in the finale, or even in Season 2's finale, Chrysalis was shooting green energy bolts out of her horn left and right. If somebody said something bad to her, pew, get shot. But Moose can't shoot magic out of Moose horns, so he hasn't got any magic to stop Phalanx. And if he's like, I'm going to fight you, he'd get his ass whooped.
That's an interesting thought. Anybody want to respond to that one, or do we?
Were any of the drone changelings shown to have a beam like that, like Chrysalis?
No.
No, but if not Phalanx, if Thorax is the leader, then you would hope that the king would get a magic beam like the queen. But if he's lost that ability, or if he just doesn't have that ability as the king, there's no way he can make Phalanx stop, because he wouldn't win in a fight of strength.
Well, I think it's... Okay. I think it's because Chrysalis... It's a hive, right? Women are normally, based on bug biology, females are usually the dominant of the hive. The thing that Thorax and the other changelings are doing is kind of radical and changing, so I don't know if their biology really makes up for the fact that, like, biology really accounts for the fact that, hey, a male is in charge, hey, Thorax is in charge. He may have been bigger, but that just may be because he has a greater capacity for love than the others, because he's always been this way and the others are still growing. I mean, look at Pharynx actually changed into something bigger because his capacity for love is inspired by his love for the hive and his love for his brother. I think that the size is not necessarily an indicator of power, it's an indicator of this amount of love that they have to expend. Meanwhile, the magic that Chrysalis has would be biologically passed down to the female leader of the hive, the queen bee. Thorax has no ability to do that. Thorax could never be the queen of the hive. This is a social construct that they are doing, not a biological construct that they are doing.
Oh yeah, I get that, but when, like, Fiaura brung up Skittle Pony number 3 being like, you're the leader, you've got to do something.
I think that
if he can't shoot magic and he can't win in a fight of strength, what else could he do except
banish
talk?
him. Banish him like the other ones wanted.
Which also implies that he's banished others before.
That is interesting.
I'm just saying if that's what they're telling him to do, and that seems like an acceptable punishment to them, they've probably done that with the others and not this one.
Or it was a leftover construct from when Chrysalis was still in power. But you're right.
True.
You're right. It could possibly be something that they've done before, which is why we don't see very many other changelings. However, knowing how Thorax's character is, it is more likely that it was a construct left over from when Chrysalis was in power. But I'm not eliminating the possibility that it could have happened to others.
Can I also just point out that in regards to the biology of it all, I can't help but feel like G4 is using the changelings as their version of flutter ponies. Hear me out. The only other flooded ponies that could have been represented in G4 are the Breezies, and we don't see them except for that one episode with Fluttershy and maybe a glimpse after the season where Terra gets defeated. So my number falls to the Changelings as, they kind of represent the G1 Flutter Ponies a bit here. And the Flutter Ponies in G1 didn't really have they had one ruler. They didn't really have a castle, though. They had a Flutter Valley. That's basically where they ruled and whatnot. So they didn't really have much of a hierarchy government system other than they had one tribe leader and all the Flutter Ponies followed that one pony. I think her name was... Shoot, I forgot her name. Oh, well. But I think that's probably how the Changeling Hive works at this point. It doesn't matter what gender...
The gender wouldn't matter in regards to leadership. It would be the sex of the, it would be biological, as in that power of green shooty beamy things would only be in a female because a female is supposed to lead. It's like bees. The queen bee, technically, she gives birth to all of the bees. Period. But only certain female bees could grow up to be a queen. The males would be the drones, and then some of the other females would be the worker bees. Only the queen bee would be primed in order to reproduce. In this case, it would be only the queen bee, Chrysalis, or one selected and particularly groomed by her, would have the ability to have the green beamy shooty things.
So,
Well,
Brony Critic first, and then me. So go ahead, Brony.
one of the things that I kind of noticed is Thorax ever actually called a king within the context of the show? I think he's referred to as the leader, but they never actually call him a king. And
so this is going to be fascinating to you. There are a couple things. One, because I've gone through and looked at all of this, Thorax is never referred to as he or she. They're always referred to by name.
And that kind of makes sense because when you think about what a changeling is, gender is kind of absurd. Because if you could transform into anything, you literally could identify as whatever you feel most comfortable with. Like, in the Feelings Forum, they have that one changeling who talks about, some days I feel purple and some days I feel green. That literally is kind of the extension of what would gender be to a creature that can be anything.
The transcript. I'm looking at the transcript right now, and they do use pronouns.
So they do occasionally use them, but for the most part, they have referred to Thorax exclusively as he. And the other thing is that Ari is correct. They never refer to him as a king.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm looking at this, and yeah, it's a whenever they're talking about Pharynx, they're always like, yeah, he did it again. Pharynx dumped in the can of black paint.
I'm speaking about Thorax. Do they refer to Thorax as a he at any point? Because I didn't think they did.
The suggestion is that when Thorax assumed and ascended to be the leader of the changelings, Thorax became the queen.
I mean, that's kind of the implication. It's a weird implication to make, but as Ari described, in a world of bugs, the one who in a hive situation, the one who reproduces is the queen, and therefore is the one who the entire hive protects, because that's the hive's future. What's going on here?
Well, Orcelius had to be made somehow.
No, I was just... My thing... Insane, Spyro. You were asking why didn't anyone else have the green shooty beamy things... Oops, sorry. So that Thorax could kick Pharynx out. I was explaining that only the queen would have that, who could only be a female, and therefore Thorax wouldn't have it because it's a social change and not a physical. Well, I mean, there is a physical biological change, but it's a social change. He wouldn't just somehow get the Queen's powers because he's the new leader. That's what I was trying to say.
I also think that in terms of the beam, it was explained that a lot of Chrysalis's power was not only the ability to negate ponies, but it came from that throne.
Boom.
So, does anybody else have a point they want to bring up? We've got 10 minutes before Q&A. Or we can jump to Q&A.
I have one small one.
Go nuts.
Why didn't they just change into a Malwerf if the Malwerf was the only thing that could hurt itself?
Wasn't that already talked about?
I kind of said that in the beginning.
We talked. No, we talked about like why didn't they just turn into something else? We just. I don't know. It's just that bothered me.
I've got the answer for you. It's you have to make somebody stupid or it solves all the problems. It's like if we take the most basic concept of Thanos and the Infinity Gauntlet, his motive in the movies at least, let's ignore the comics, is I need to get all of these super powerful stones that turn me into a god to wipe out half the universe because resources are running out. But if you are literally a god and you have infinite power, why not just make infinite resources? They had to make him stupid to fit the narrative of being a villain. If anybody could just change into a Malwerf or a dragon or whatever, then there wouldn't be an episode. That's the problem solved instantly, so they had to make him a little bit stupid to have the episode.
That is a beautiful comparison, and I love that solution. Thanos, you're an idiot.
In other words,
the world needs stupid people.
I said, in other words, plot convenience.
Exactly, because there's also another character that we have to kind of put into perspective. This is a Starlight episode at some level, but Starlight in any other episode could have solved this entire situation in 5 minutes. But she can't, because that's not what the story needs. So they had to put a situation where she can't solve it. Or, they kind of give an idea. They try to go for it a little bit with like, his armor is super thick. And it's like, yeah, but that would have only stopped her for maybe, 30 seconds before she came up with some other way of fixing it.
It's not only that, it's what we have seen her do in both the finale and the future. Like, she bent all of time and space and reality with little to no stress, but she can't deal with this mole. In the future episodes with the school, she destroyed the very emissary of chaos and banished his physical form from the grounds, but she can't deal with a mole. She had the silly virus that day.
I like that. Can we keep that silly virus?
I'm imagining those old Donald Duck cartoons where he goes up against Chip and Dale, and no matter how much effort he puts into it, he just can't get rid of 2 chipmunks. It's kind of that same situation.
Okay, does anybody else have a point that they wish to bring up? Blissey, was that you?
No, I'm good, but I must regret that I have 5 minutes left.
Okay, so we're going to move to Q&A.
I do as well.
Try to make these as quick as possible, guys. There's a bunch of them this week, so let's see here. From Little Ragnarok, do you think Pharynx and Thorax are now the changeling equivalent of Celestia and Luna?
Say that again.
Do you think Pharynx and Thorax are now the changeling equivalent of Celestia and Luna?
Maybe a little.
I had comparisons.
I mean, they did make Pharynx the darker one just to kind of make the comparison strong.
Do you think we will see a return of Pharynx in the final season, or at least get a cameo?
Please! I want that so bad.
Please!
I mean, that would be perfect. He made a quick little cameo in School Days, but like, he was only on screen. I want to actually hear Bill Newton. Hi, Bill Newton. I want to hear him again. Please, more Pharynx.
That depends on the scenario that they're going to write for season 9.
Pharynx and Luna episode.
I wouldn't be against seeing Pharynx again, but
I can
what the
definitely,
writers have in store.
yeah, it really all depends on what they have to work with. I mean, as much as there are things we want, it's also the circumstance of what they have to do with, not just with the narrative, but also budget and such. And within Bill Newton, in that particular matter, I think he's still affordable compared to, you know, a lot of other characters we wanted to see come back. We'll just have to wait and see.
See, for me, I think a great episode, if we want to make the comparison between Luna and Celestia, I think it would be interesting if, like, Thorax and Pharynx come for, like, a peace forum or something like that with some of the other diplomats, and Luna and Pharynx sort of butt heads over how they support their siblings. But in the end, the moral could be, it doesn't matter how you support your sibling, as long as you are showing them love and friendship, then you are doing a good job as a sibling or as a helper.
Sees Pharynx and Luna in a sword fight now.
I ship it.
You see, I like the idea, but that means that the writers have to, like, not chain us to one of the main 7 again. Like, they have to be like, okay, it's the last season, we can do whatever we want, so there's going to be no main 7, no students, it's just side characters.
To be fair, though, they could have they could have Twilight Sparkle and Starlight there.
So I have to give a little spoiler here. I did talk to Big Jim at HarmonyCon, and he quietly informed me that there is an episode 200 that is similar in the same vein as episode 100.
Hallelujah.
So, in the meantime, Lightning Bliss, are you still interested in doing movie reviews?
I am, and I do hope to review movies that are more monster related, because I love monster films, especially the old stuff, and the semi-B movies like Tremors, or like, heck, I thought the alligator movie was pretty terrifying. Oof.
That would be Lake Placid.
Lake Placid?
Lake Placid is more of a joke. Like, it knows what it is. It's a B movie popcorn. Oh, a little bit scary, but it has super funny moments that I really can't take it seriously, and it knows that. So I wouldn't say it's bad. It's not great. I guess it's a movie to sit and watch popcorn with.
Okay.
We do not speak of Sharknado.
Next question is Josh. When do you think you're going to do your next Taking It Too Seriously? P.S. I hope it's with Jasper or someone else from the podcast. That's from Bootkins23.
Well, I'm getting some... It's just tweaking a couple things, but my next one should be up tonight.
I was about to say I scheduled one for him to release today.
Yeah, it's some tiny tweaks.
Magical Star Flash, would you rather spend a day with Trixie or Discord?
Discord.
Trixie can screw off.
Discord. It's universal.
Trixie.
And I must
Discord.
go bye-bye.
And I've got to go as well. Mwah.
Oh no.
I would actually have to say Trixie, because that way I don't have to worry about my feet being turned into rabbits.
Thank you! At least I know Trixie's magic is incompetent. I just have to assume Trixie is oblivious and incompetent, and we're good. Discord I can always assume is being malicious.
Yeah, but you could get turned into a teacup. Ha! I win the
He's got a
argument.
point there.
Oh, silence! Look,
No,
that silence.
No, here's the thing. Okay, so Trixie... Okay, Discord will turn you into a teacup because it's funny. Trixie will turn you into a teacup if you're teaching her magic.
Okay, what's your point?
My point is, don't teach her magic and you won't get turned into a teacup.
So,
I'm just saying.
Keep her dumb and
thread.
useless.
Being British, she has obviously got the greatest spell of teacups, because then we can drink proper Earl Grey tea.
You can say things like, "Hello, what's all this then?"
The next question. So the next two questions I have for all of you might be a little interesting and a little silly. Would anyone here name a changeling Swiss cheese?
Yes. Yes.
That sounds like an equivalent of cheese sandwich.
If they still had holes in them, yeah.
Would there be
I
a
find it
Swiss?
kind of racist. Are you like, you making fun of my holes? Why are you making fun of my holes, dude?
Having the neck.
Sorry, Brownie Critic, you can go.
The next question.
Well,
yes, go ahead.
I was going to say that brings up the question of, if there's Swiss cheese, it implies the existence of Switzerland, and there is no Switzerland in Equestria, or there would be the pony equivalent to Switzerland, which I don't know what that would be. What would the pun for Switzerland be?
Switzerland?
Switzerland?
No, nay. Yeah, Switzerland.
Okay. So, Mario Frockport wishes to know, can changelings mate with ponies, and if so, what would we call them?
Pete. We will call them Pete.
Call them chonies.
Well, I actually read a fanfic that kind of gave their own interpretation of this. It was that they could mate with a pony, but they would have to be a pony. They would have to transform into a pony, and they would have to stay a pony for the entire pregnancy.
The next question, and this could be a small bombshell, what would be your reaction if you found out Scootaloo was part changeling, and that explains why she can't fly?
Neat.
I would have so many questions.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Golden.
I would.
No, I mean, like, okay, so if she was like a changeling the whole time, why didn't she do anything before before the changelings had their own change? I mean, that's a huge plot hole in the series.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like, what if she was a changeling the entire time, which that would have been a huge waste, weird plot hole, or whatever you want to call it. But it's like, why wouldn't you just turn into a flying creature? I don't know, like an eagle, a hawk.
Excuse me, she does turn into a flying creature. She turns into a chicken.
I'm so tired of that joke. Shut up.
Bad, Spyro. Bad. Von Holtz wishes to know that we noticed that Pharynx has multiple colors when we first see him. And when Thorax had that, it's that he'd started to change. Do we believe Pharynx has already started to change by the beginning of the episode?
I didn't notice that. Was it like really? Was it obvious or subtle?
He had red, purple, and black, and before all the changelings were uniform blue blacks.
You know, it actually brings up one question I had. In the flashback, it's shown that every changeling is pretty much the same. Was Pharynx basically just designed to be the little cog that didn't fit in?
Exactly. That was the point that I wanted to give up, because he still had those colorations on him when he was a little changeling. So I don't think that's the case, that he was already in the process of changing.
Well, they make the reference of him being the elder brood mate. So I wonder if he was actually just like Thorax was the runt of the brood. I have to wonder if maybe like Thorax is like a special class of changeling, which is why he's the only one that's really different.
Okay, well, this also draws parallel to slight continuity error, maybe?
Now, I could potentially give a logical reason for it, because in hives there are two types of drones, workers and warriors. You know, the workers go and get pollen or tend to the hive, and the warriors defend it. So given Pharynx's very violent nature, you could say that the ones with the purple and red are the warrior class, and the blue and black ones are just the worker drone class.
Just going back real second, when we're talking about what if Scootaloo was a changeling, he needs to refute that because I don't know why I didn't think of it before. She was at the royal wedding. She was there when the whole blast thing went off. So there we go. Next question.
The last question we have is from Little Ragnarok. Do you believe Queen Chrysalis has had a similar story to the Greek myth of the arachnid and possibly was an alicorn at one point and simply changed due to being a jealous alicorn? Jasper first, then I see Golden, then I see Master Code.
I'd say maybe. It'd be nice if we had an actual story for her other than just what was in the comics.
And I don't go by comics, but it does sound like a nice idea. I did hear some things about what the comics explain about Chrysalis, but again, I don't rely on comics. But this would be but with the idea that was being questioned, I think that's by comparison, I think that's a much better answer than, what was it, some kind of weird spell that changed a weird goo thing or something like that? I don't know what it is. It was far-fetched and was weird to go by.
No, I was going to say, going back to the actual question, maybe I just misunderstood it. Were they comparing Chrysalis to
they were comparing
mythological arachnid story,
they were comparing Chrysalis to the Greek tragedy of the arachnid, which is the occurrence of a beautiful princess who is so jealous and so vengeful towards her sisters over the beauty that they possess that she is transformed into a hideous giant spider by the gods.
This sounds like that one ruler from in Campfire Tales, there was one of the stories where there was an Asian-based unicorn taken on her. I think it was her sister, and she had the same concept where she tried to make herself more beautiful, but that she ruined her face.
Yeah, it's kind of sick. And I've personally, as far as the backstory for where I think Chrysalis could be implied, is that there is a story introduced in Season 2, or a little mythological world-building point that's mentioned in Season 2 that's never expanded on or explained, and it happens to be the season where they later introduce Chrysalis. The love poison. They give the backstory of the love poison about a princess and a prince and a dragon and chaos reigning and weird things like that have some weird references and weird connections to, characters that show up throughout Season 2. And I can't help but wonder if maybe that was supposed to be a subtle reference to what Chrysalis is.
So, I will answer everybody's question. Brony Critic, you are somewhat correct. In the comics, with the whole Chaos Reign thing, but it was a long time ago, when Discord planted the plunder seeds and the roots went all underground and stuff, the roots went into some gooey swamp, and in that swamp were pony bones, like the remains of the bones, and then some flies started buzzing round, and because they've got those Venus flytrap heads, plunder seed ate a fly and the bones, and the fly and the bones merged to an insect bug horse thing, so it was kind of like they were born from the chaos of the plunder seeds.
Mutants.
That is metal as hell.
It really is. So
if only we could see that in real life.
So Spyro, go ahead and upload the artwork, because I know you've got something, and I'm gonna regret those words in a moment. Hey Josh, would you like the fair warning?
Fair warning?
So Spyro here has probably drawn something of you and Ari to represent the podcast that just occurred. He might have even still been working on it or making changes to it while we've been talking.
I see.
Reveal it.
The door is still open. Run while you still can.
So, first of all, this is why I'm the greatest dragon, because not only can I record that intro on the fly for Fiaura, but I am bringing you this week not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not even 5, but 6 panels of the thing. And as for you, Mr. Scorcher, I heard that on occasion you can be a very shouty person. Is that correct?
Nah, that doesn't sound like him at all. He's a very nice person. He never gets mad or yells kaboom.
I think he's tempering his sense of decency and making sure his fuse is extra long.
For thousands of years I lay dormant.
Any other questions, Master Code?
Maybe he just had a frog in his throat. I think.
And he certainly loves it when I tell him how I want to pinch his widow, baby. Gee.
I'm waiting for all of them so I can show them all in a row to the stream. So stream, get ready. He was preparing that, and I was not ready for that myself. I had my headphones turned all the way up, and then I remembered that Jasper was here.
What?
Oh my god.
Oh, I get it.
It's Fusro Da. You a sorry excuse for a nerd.
Is that all of them, or do you have more?
Change how it was spelt a bit.
Oh god, why?
Oh my!
Oh, sweet lord, why?
Oh god. I love what Ari says in the last
Yes, there's a little bit.
What are we looking at? Oh, right there in the art.
We're looking at B stuff.
Okay. I was not prepared for tonight. Is that all of them? Can I show them to the audience now?
Yeah, that's all of them. Go through them and go at your own pace.
So here we have Spyro and Scorcher and Ari, and Ari says, "Don't you dare." Spyro has Face of Doubt. Foos. Ari drops an F-bomb. Okay then! Josh and I are going to have to sit down and have an argument over who's Princess of Explosions now.
Excuse me, sir. You seem to have misspelled the word field in page number 4.
Be thankful it was a field. You don't want to know how many convention centers I've had to pay for. By the
Oh no!
oh
no! I'm the general of explosions.
Oh, I see. I see. So you could have general and I can have princess, and we can agree on this. Yes.
Yes.
So, do we get to call him a general explosion?
Did you
seriously just make a pun?
Did I crop what?
Did you
Sounds
crop
like a bunch
every piece of artwork you've done and every... I feel like the centerpiece here next to the window describes how I should feel right now.
Talk about cross-branding.
A little bit.
Oh man, you should have said, instead of all according to plan, you should have said all according to Kaikaku. Or all according to cake.
How to make a real Fallout. 2 times.
There's also...
Oh my god.
There's also a reply, or he sent you it first.
2 Sunrise, 5 more Skyrim. Wow. And finally, Sunrise, are you pranking ponies with mini nukes again? No, Mom. Firebrand is just shouting.
He does have quite the explosive personality.
Seymour, do you want me to tell you when it's 7:30? No.
By the way, that last panel, there was actually some scientific science behind it as well. So, first off, the super milk is yet again not falling out the glass on the desk. But if you look very carefully, Sunrise's mom is saying sunrise in the orange in her tail, and sunrise is saying mom in a very specific colour, because I actually worked out who Sunrise's mother is. Okay? So, in Equestria, science doesn't exist. It's complete nonsense. You can't take water to Cloudsdale in buckets. That is crazy talk. You need magic, tornado magic. So science doesn't exist. However, there are two ponies that know of science, because both of these ponies have been somewhere else. One is Twilight Sparkle, and then there's the other one. And the other one is her mother. And this makes sense because it also fits the name. That, like the children, like Pinkie Pie obviously has the second name Pie, even though the rock farm has nothing to do with pies. It would make sense that her mother has a name connected to the sun. Sunrise, sunset. There you go.
Sunrise, sunset.
Sunrise,
We
sunset,
flee,
sunrise.
fly the
It has been, and think
I love
about
Annie.
And think about this, okay? Just to like solidify the theory, right? Sunset went to school where science is actually a curriculum, and if she got an A in science, that means that her offspring would also be a very smart science pony. And again, sunset, sunrise, it all comes together.
I'm glad for this podcast my camera is not on.
This is probably the.
That makes
this is
So
probably the
I'm not entirely. I'm not entirely sure your theory holds water, because we've seen in fiction before that two not quite intelligent pairs can produce a very intelligent offspring. Dexter's Lab, Jimmy Neutron.
Also, I hate to break this one to you, but it is a theory in biology that every 7 out of 10 children, genius skips a generation. So if you have a genius in one generation, it's going to skip the next generation 7 out of 10 times. That's why they say genius skips a generation. It's because it was proven biologically in the 60s and 70s through looking at various people who were classified geniuses and then looking at their parents and their offspring.
Also, wait, wasn't Jimmy's mom secretly smart?
Well,
Yes.
Either way, I've still got the name of sunrise and sunset.
One
Again.
season following another.
Again, I'm glad my camera is not on, because I have had dresses that I have to wear at BabsCon as Queen Quake that are less red than me right now.
Why? What's wrong with that?
I never expected anyone to connect sunrise to sunset. I didn't see that one coming. Especially since I've never had a drawing done of what she originally was supposed to look like before Stable Tech did things. But in the meantime, so we're gonna outro, folks. Of course, we're going to start with our guest, and then so during the outro is also your opportunity to discuss an upcoming project. So you get about a minute and a half to tell people about what you do again and your latest project that you have coming, and then we're gonna close out with some banter and jokes between each other. So and Insane is obviously, and I'm going to reveal what we're doing next week since we're still on season hiatus at the end of all of that. So Scorcher, go ahead and tell us about what you and Ari are currently up to.
Well, let's see. We have Kingdom Hearts month, which is coming up on my main channel, where I'm just going to be releasing a countdown once every week, pretty much like once every Friday. And yeah, it's going to be all about Kingdom Hearts. It's going to be all about the first one that we're going to do is top 14 organization, 13 members. And if that is the title of a countdown that doesn't exemplify all the problems with Kingdom Hearts, I don't know what is.
You know what? I'm not going to say anything else.
I've got a question. Have you beat Kingdom Hearts 3?
Yeah, I streamed it.
Just like, you don't have to spoil anything. What did you think about the ending? Like, after you deal the final blow, and
Hold on, you
then
two.
that
Hold
thing
on,
happens.
hold on. You two can discuss this afterwards, because that's way off topic.
Yes, please.
All right,
No, I
Critic.
just want it was good or it was bad.
No.
It was.
In the meantime, Brony Critic, what have you got coming down the pipe?
Okay, first, phrasing. But second, I am currently working with Drew Flashy from TruckCon. We are working on a few panels, or at least one panel for BronyCon, and we might also premiere it earlier at TruckCon as sort of like a test to make sure it still is working. But currently, as far as my video projects are going, I am working on my next Brony Bits, which are a series of videos where instead of focusing on a single aspect of the fandom, I focus on the collective work of a single content creator. I guess there's no point in like hiding who it is. I'm going to be doing a Brony Bits on Crusader, on the Brony Musician Crusader, because I got a request from one of the guys I did a review for. To do it, and I'm really excited for the project. It's going to be a lot more complex than some of my other videos. Have a guest on as well, so I'm really excited. It's currently in the editing phase, but hopefully I'll be able to start getting some work on it done fairly soon.
Okay. Master Code, what have you got coming for us? Or no, Shoujo. I'm so sorry, Shoujo. Please don't be mad at me.
That's all right, Fiaura. That's all right. What do I not have going on? Well, I got a review of Suited for Success that I may upload next week. And then I don't know when. But other than that, I got a few collabs coming with a few of my friends in the Rift City. I got this one interview that I did with a member of the Rift City there. That's going to be up on the Rift City's YouTube channel, so stick around for that. And maybe just the occasional Let's Play whenever I get around to recording those. And I may also actually be trying to stream more on my Twitch channel, because I did a test stream of editing together one of my reviews on Twitch, but I may choose a random game from the amount of games that I have on Steam to just stream someday. So stay tuned for that. Master Code, off to you.
Yes, well, as we end this podcast, this is your Ace Analyst Master Code. And as for future projects, for Season 9, I won't really say too much now, but let's just say I got a couple collabs lined up for that. When the Nightmare Night comics finally finish coming out, I'll finally review those. And then I might do a little quick video on the Ponyville Mysteries. Don't know when that will be out, but that one's on my list also. Other than that, just editing, analysis, anarchy, and that'll be it. On to you, Jasper.
This has been the Pizza Phone. What's coming up for me? Well, I still got a few comic commissions to finish. Still working on audio editing for TF2, and hopefully a prank call is in the works. The audio is done. Just waiting for the other guy to finish the video editing. Hint, hint. If you can hear me, please finish it. Hint, hint, hint.
Down, Jasper. Down.
Heal, boy, heal.
Am I going to have to use the tranquilizer again?
If you tranquilize me, I will rip your spine out and use it to floss my teeth.
Good luck with that.
Isn't the spine too big for that?
Does anybody else see Jasper in a Sub-Zero costume fighting Golden Fox?
Don't worry, I shot him 3 times.
Get over here.
Insane
I
Spyro?
hate you.
First off, Jasper, time to take your meds. I'm not. I have been Insane Spyro, the greatest dragon in gaming, and either your dreams or nightmare fuel, depending on what you think of the art for the week. As for what I'm doing, Yesterday I streamed my first impressions of Anthem. Yay. And that'll be up on YouTube tonight. And I am going to now be typing the review of Anthem. Yay. Which will be up this week. As well as a review for... I was going to say Far Cry 76. I mean, it is Far Cry New Dawn and Metro Exodus. Golden.
Okay, Golden, what you got sliding in?
Okay, so I've been kind of juggling around whatever projects that I am trying to set a schedule for, and it's been a little bit of a struggle between like writer's block and motivation. But basically, I kind of counted my chickens first before they hatched, and one of which is that I've been planning on taking care of Hard to Say Anything, which is kind of overdue. But along with that, for what I hope to finish in early March is an overdue collab that me, Keyframe, and ANY have all pitched together on as we review Rarity Investigates. Josh got a short cameo. Silver Quill's got his. There's a lot of humor spreading between all three of us. Kind of on the equivalent of the Three Stooges, but I don't want to get that egotistic, but I'm very happy with how it's coming. But be on the lookout for that. I finally got myself back into actually streaming Let's Plays again, which, again, I'm kind of like juggling things around. I've recently just got through a stream, and I'm now uploading them on my secondary channel. So, yeah, you can check my main channel, secondary channel, and my Twitch channel for all of those, as they will be linked to you guys. So that's kind of both a promotion and an answer to what I'm currently working on. So until then, I hope you all have a good one.
All right, and I am Fiaura, your host. Currently, I'm working on, let's see here, I have a drunk writing stream in 3 hours tonight here on this same channel where I will proceed to attempt to write a story while all of my viewers fill me full of alcohol. It usually works out to about 6 or 7 pages of a story, and the rest of it is me drunkenly rambling about convention stories or other things that have happened within various fandoms that are absolutely hilarious. Second, on Wednesday night, I still have Fallout Equestria with the Dead Tree guys. It is the official developer game. It is the game in which we are beta testing all their experimental stuff, as well as the game in which I am basing the story that I'm... I should have described this out loud. Fine, whatever. I just wrote all the disclaimers that the lawyers told me I had to write. It's 6.5 pages of disclaimer in the book, but I'm getting a book published, and it's basically book 1 of that experience playing it in that tabletop game. We're doing edits. It's currently a giant nightmare and time sink of my life, but I can say that it's been absolutely worth it. What else is there? Oh, and I'm apparently going to be writing 50 Shades of Changeling now, because I put that on the list of things to do, and I put it at the top of the list.
We almost said it at the exact same time, too.
You mad woman!
If you want to catch up on the Fallout Equestria stuff, you can do it through my YouTube channel. I do have a complete playlist, and it does play very much like this podcast, where it's a radio play. You don't necessarily have to see what's going on to know what's going on, because we describe our actions and talk it out and everything of that nature. So you can just sit there and listen to it in your car, or I actually know somebody who drives a forklift around a warehouse and is listening to our Fallout Equestria tabletop broadcast on their forklift all day. In the meantime, I would also like to thank the creators who could either not be here to finish or had to be somewhere else tonight. And they are Lightning Bliss, Moon Knight Burb, Thespio, and Solar Flare are all of our regular roundtablers who could not be here tonight for whatever reason. And anybody got anything else you want to add right now? Because now's the time. Oh, by the way, for reference, if you missed any part of the podcast, it will be up next Saturday morning, as every Saturday morning now is when I re-upload them for people to view.
We can end on an image that will make Jasper's brain hurt.
Do it.
Get on with it! My dam is about to burst!
There you go.
Honestly, I think given who our special guest is, there's really only one way we can end this episode.
Should I get in the bunker?
Only if Scorcher's up to it.
The what?
You're a special guest. There's only one way we can really end an episode involving you, isn't there?
I don't follow.
To have quite the blast, one might say. An explosive ending.
Oh,
We're
I
gonna
know
have
what
a
they're
bang
going
up
for.
job.
What?
I don't think he was prepared for that.
Prepare for what?
Aw.
They want you to say kaboom
Why?
because that's how you end your videos.
It is?
I always
Yeah.
Don't do that! Don't do it!
I'll do it.
Jasper, am I gonna have to use the tranquilizer one more time?
You know what? Yes! You're gonna have to use the tranquilizer! Come on!
All right, fine.
Tranquilize me!
All right, fine. I'll.
What was that?
That was adorable.
Even better, because of the picture that I've done, which we can put back on screen. Give us your best Fuss Rodar.
Yeah. Well, what else?
It sounded like Vegeta after all the coolers.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night, America.
Goodbye.
Bye.
So long, and thanks for all the fish.